So since my last update, I've done quite a lot. I have played around with the environment a lot more, and I've also introduced some really cool systems. So first of all, let's head over to this village and see what that's all about there in a moment. So we'll talk to this villager here, and I've got some dialogue. So I talked to him, something strange is going on in the forest over there. I'd rather not go anywhere near it, so that's one part. And if we head up to this little broken down church area, I talked to this villager. So long ago I was told of mysterious stuff that was lost in the forest. Okay. So he talks about there could be something in there. So let's head on over there. So I was thinking there was going to be areas that are all corrupted like this throughout the world, and you would go into them and it's all foggy and spooky. And then so when we walk up to here we get a quest, so clear the ruins. I'm just gonna equip my spells, so I've got earth as my main and fire as my primary, or secondary, sorry. So if I combine them I can shoot lava. And most of these attacks still work in progress. And if I do fire and earth, I can shoot fire as my main, but then I combine and shoot lava. So let's take him out. So he's got some crystals, so I can pick them up. And there's one more. So let's take him out quick. Oh, he's running away. So now he's taken out, and we need to interact with the crystal. So let's interact with it. So once you clear up the enemies, then you cleanse the corruption, and it slowly shrinks down, and then it goes back to its normal part. So it's all cleaned. And I've got some weapons here, so it's gemstick. And I was thinking there'll be some weapons, so depending on what you've got active, as gemsticks, so earth is my primary. I was thinking that the spells could go to the weapons and enhance them depending on the type. So right now it's fire there. Let's turn this off. And I've got a staff here, Staff of Prudence. Pick this up. Okay, now there's a quest. So find someone at the village to examine the staff. So now I've got that quest, we can head over to the village. So I've got this little way to go faster where I equip my air spell. And normally if you block and then you press the shift key, which I got, you do a little dash. But for now I've got it so I can just keep pressing it and go really fast. I'll go through these little creatures in a moment. So now we go back to the villager and we talk to him. And it's okay, so now his dialogue's changed and you can talk to him and then give him the staff. He talks about it a bit more. And then, okay, now we got to head to the great tree. So now if I talk to him again, he says, okay, we should probably go over there. So I'm happy I got the dialogue implemented depending on the quest state. So now I've jumped over here and we are going to look at some items that I've been doing. So with this item system, you can see this little containers over here. And if I went and I just picked them up, so when I pressed E, and say if I jump in my inventory now, I've got weapons, armor, items, and quest items. So right now I don't have any weapons equipped. If I pick up the club, it will equip it and it will put it in my inventory slot. If I pick up this torch, it'll then equip it and put it there. So if I were to right click, I can change them, or I can right click and to unequip it. And if I clicked on them, I could drop them. And the same with these rocks over here, so just keep dropping them. And so these are apples. If I pick up the apples, they go into they're in this items, but they're consumable. So if I right click them, you can see how they regenerate my health, or I can drop them again. So that's the items here. And this torch is on fire, you will notice. So if I quit my club, which is wood and it's burnable, I can walk up to it and then my club's on fire. And you can see on the top left the numbers going down, and that's the countdown until it's completely burnt out. So if it burns out, then it's broken and I should lose the weapon, but it seems like it didn't happen. Okay, well it was working a while ago, but it's not now, so I'll get that fixed. Okay, next things, we've got these chests. So if I were to pick up, let me just drop this weapon. So I've got, seems to be some bugs actually that I've just noticed. So I were to pick up in this barrel, I get one club and the apples picked up. Same with here. So I've got another club here, so I can choose between it and more apples. And if I want to pick up the... So we notice it's 24. When I pick up, the bottom right it says 24 and 19. That 19 is a visual bug. It doesn't actually add it to the inventory, but to do my code, it seems to re-loop over it. So I've got to fix that issue there. And let's do one of the fun parts. So I run with all these enemies here, get them to aggro on us. And then when they run towards us, you'll see some of them get the weapons. So now some are getting weapons or not. And if I equip my fire spell, I can burn his club that he's got. And then you can attack them and stuff. So this is really fun. Let's change between... Oh, I need to get... let me get this sword that does not burn. I can attack him. So the combat is still really janky, but it gets the idea across. And I'm still having some issues with changing between animations, because I'm using the Advanced Locomotion System version 4 for the character fluidity, and that's really great. But when I was trying to get into the combat, the animations, I'm having a problem with them blending properly. So that's why there's a bit of sliding, because it completely overwrites the original animation with the other one, or whether it changes or not. And you notice that I've also put in so when they get hit and some of them do attack. Also I've got it so you notice the numbers on their head. So if they're facing me, so depending on if there's one in front or behind, the one in front will get a higher number and then they will get a chance to attack, so they attack one at a time. And there's all these tutorials that I followed through them. I'll link them all in the description between them and everything else. So this bit over here was my idea for a starting area. I wanted the, I've got a whole story about the character starting, but you start near a log and then walk through this little area. I really wanted to have an area that was open but also closed, because if it was just open then you could just jump off and ignore the tutorial. So first of all, there's also this, I've got a crafting system. So if we were to pick up 2 of these corrupt crystals and then go up to this altar, I could then go up to it and then I could drop them. So I was thinking about, I wanted it to be in the world, so we drop 2 crystals here. Whoops, 1, 2. And then they craft into a pure crystal. And I was thinking having combinations of 2, so then I can use a pure crystal and something else, or maybe get some types of foods, and then we'll craft at these certain altars to do with magic and light. So let's have a look at what this guy has to say here. Nothing, which is strange. Let's try that again. Okay, that was really weird. So okay, so he says, oh hello, and if I say sorry I need to go, I can get out of the dialogue, or I can keep talking to him. And then, okay, so gathered 10 apples. So I can pick up these apples here. And once again, pick them up here. And now we've got 11 apples on us. So we have more than enough. So now we can talk to him. And if I say no, then nothing happens. But if I say yes, it does the check and it's like quest complete. And also what I didn't show off previously, if I were to go up to the barrels and I could just drop my items, and they would actually spawn in the world. So if I were to spawn them in, and I can use my air spell to blow them, and when they hit the barrel, so it says 5 on them, and there's 2 there, and there we go, it went up. Maybe there were 3. Okay, so that jumped into the barrel, and then I can just pick them out, and I've got all my apples back. There we go. Alright, now let's get to the more fun stuff. So I've added 2 new creatures. One is a gecko and one is over there called a sky ray. So first let's go pin the gecko. So for the gecko, I've got IK on the legs, and that's using the Unreal Engine control rig, which is very cool. So all I had to do is I basically just rigged up the gecko, and then I used the control rig, and that was working at all the IK. So that gecko just hit me, and if it hits me again I might die. So okay, let's head on this gecko, sorry. So I was thinking there could be certain mounts that you can go onto. And also yet again, depending on the leg, the height, it will adjust to the terrain. And if I were to click, I can make him attack. So this is an earth gecko that shoots rocks, and I was going to have other variants, so a fire gecko would shoot fire and so forth. And one of the systems I was thinking of is that the geckos could, so if I were to jump and jump again, there's a few issues with the body, but I wanted them to have so they can climb up walls. So there are going to be certain mounts, so that one's bugged out. So there's a few issues with them at the moment, but if I were to jump on this one here, and then let's head it over to the sphere. So I was going to do it that that geckos could be a means of transport to tricky places. So you can walk completely upside down depending on. And what it's doing is it's casting a line down to the sphere, and it's adjusting based on that normal to the actual rotation of the gecko actor. So there are really few funny issues that happen. If I jump off him, and then I go into this one over here, and then we head down into this cylinder, and then I jump up. So it's going to probably flip out a lot, but oh, wait for it. There we go. So ideally it would be like this, and the character will be sitting down, not just standing, floating there. And yeah, that's kind of my idea for the geckos. And my cameras are broken, so we'll re-enter. And there'll be other mounts. So for the Skyray, as you can probably guess, you can fly with it and fly around. So there'll be like a bunch of these flying through the sky, and then you'll need them to cross to certain parts of different islands. So we'll jump off him. And back here, where these geckos are angry shooting their rocks out, I've got little puzzles. So if I were to burn this torch, and then this torch, and then finally this torch, it will then open up this gate or door, and if I entered it, so now I've entered the underground, and I was thinking there's going to be certain areas that you get to, and they'll have these mysterious puzzles or certain things or special items. So right now it's just a concept of a underground corrupt cave, and if I were to go back, it would just take me back to the start of the level for now. So this is the most recent system that I have done, and it involves chopping down trees. So say I were to chop this tree down, it would then spawn a log, and it chopped it down. So one of these systems I found is really cool. So you will notice that when I go closer to the tree, these little cubes appear. What it's doing is switching out the static meshes into an actor base, and because now it's an actor, I can do what I want with it. So when I actually press E, it swaps out the static mesh with the log, and also places down a stump. And because there's still an actor, if I were to leave, instead of it switching back to the static tree, it switches to the static stump, which is really cool. So I can just run through, and I can just chop these all down, and depending on how big the trees are, it gets the correct scale for the log. And I need to fix up all the physics properly, because if you notice, if I walk up to some, I can just push them like crazy. So that's one part that I've done. And if we want to look at one of the big trees, so I'll just speed over here really quick. And then let's chop down these ones. So all the physics need to be done properly still. And this one's really slow, and let's chop down this one. Down we go. And yeah, I'll fix up all the issues on the models. And what they did there is actually had a bit of my code, so when they were touching another tree, it would try and chop it down, but I've just noticed it for the first time that it's done that here, not for the little ones. Maybe they work now, maybe they don't. Okay, one of the recent systems I put in the other day for me is a weather system. So if I were to activate it, so now it's active and we can see what happens. So the wind picks up and the rain comes in, gets all foggy, and then there's lightning. So let's look around and look for the lightning when it strikes again. There it is. So the sound effect I just grabbed off a royalty-free sound effect website just to get some audio in the game. So how this system works, if I were to jump out of it, when I activate the weather, it actually gets the actor's location, and then it spawns lightning on the actor, and then it gets an area around it, and it randomly spawns it there in the sky, and then it traces down, and whatever it hits, it will then trace that object. So an example is if I were to actually jump back in game, and then let's go and start the weather system, and then I jump out of the player camera. Now the storm's picking up. So there's a little issue. When it first spawns, the beam actually goes to 0, 0, which is over here. That's why it flashes there for a moment. But if I actually were to quickly go over here into my lightning, where are we? This one, and then let's enable this to draw, and also this one to draw. So we'll see wherever the lightning hits, it will cast a sphere and then cast again and do damage to the object. So now it's picking up again. So you'll see here that it cast it there and it hit that, and then from wherever it hit, it cast it around to do damage. So if I were to, let's see if we get lucky and it hits a tree. Probably won't. So what I'm going to do in that case is I'm going to just turn off the weather system and then turn on lightning that strikes very rapidly. And we'll see if we get... So that... I hit the wrong tree. I've only got one tree, which is these tall ones that actually fall down. So I'm not really getting any luck with this. So no luck. Okay, so the final measure is I'm actually going to remove all my tall trees, and then I'm just going to start it. Oh, I fell too far, so I ragdolled. Enable the lightning. So here we go. So you hit that tree and it fell down. That tree over there. So what it does is that when it actually hits, because the trees are static in the distance, so it hits them, it does the swap out for the actor, and then it chops them down, and then re-puts it back to the static, so that stump is static but the trees are actor. And for performance wise, I was thinking that it could only actually be struck down if the player's in a certain radius, because right now if it gets struck all the way over here, it will actually chop it down, and that's going to cause some performance issues later on. There we go. It's pretty cool just to watch this happen and everything gets chopped down. So I jump out of that, I need to get all my trees back. And I actually have to do something funny, which I have to get rid of the previous trees. And spawn in the big trees. And spawn in the normal trees. And I wanted to, when I was trying to, because this is using the procedural foliage system. So these are just static trees, but when I actually switched them to actors and I went to spawn them in, I was only getting 1 or 2. And I wasn't really sure why that was happening. So for now, these are just, the big trees are just static actors, while the little trees, sorry, the big trees are just static, while the little trees are the actors. So I'll just turn on the weather system again, and we'll just run around and see what actually happens. And also, every time the lightning strikes, it actually changes the wind direction. So lightning struck there. Just gonna see if we can see any of the... So you can kind of see that it changes a bit. There's a strike over there. They all seem to be going over there now. But yeah, I want to further improve this, and also with the rain system, see if they hit on the character. Actually collides, it bounces off, and if the rain goes on the tree, bounces on the tree, and it's really cool. So these are all getting in most tutorials I've followed, and I'll link them in the description. Just join them all together, and they're really cool. And yeah. Chop, chop, chop. Oh, I also got, if I get my fire, I can just, because when it actually, you do damage to the trees, they get chopped, so I can just run around. And I will do so when the trees chop down, the leaves will poof, and they will fall down, and then the tree falls down, and if it gets caught on fire, I'll have it burn, and all this other stuff later on. And also you notice the sky over there is very clear. And because that's, and also the gecko over there, you can see him a bit. Because I'm using the cell shader, it's actually rendering over everything. And I've got that to do, because with the water I had it when I went actually under the water, so I'll jump over here. I had issues where the actual cell shader was rendering over the water, to do with before or after tone mapping and the material options. Now when I go under, it actually renders under, which I wanted before. But because I've changed that, now with the fog, it seems to render over the fog. So you can see them at really long distances. And that definitely needs to be fixed. Over here is a little level that I had for my expedition that I had last year through my TAFE course. And so you'll start off in this little scene, and you would go through and then defeat the enemies. So I'll take him out. He's gone, and I'll take this one out. So now he's gone, and the last one. There we go, and now he's gone. So then it says, okay, climb up the rocks, so we can climb up them. Pick up the sword by the pond. So since I've actually been on this map and last done it, there's quite a few bugs because I haven't revisited this since I've added all these systems what I've just shown before. And then you would go and you would do your little melee and defeat him. Can I get him? There we go. And then he dropped his crystal and a sword. And also some items over here that you can just pick up and get them all, and once again the inventory, so some apples for some health. So you walk through this little forest over here, and now the quest is done. So if we were to go to this villager here, it would say, okay, so we accept his quest. So this quest was actually being, this is one of my older style of quests where you would accept it, while in the newer version you would go through the dialogue and talk to him. Also, this is actually just a normal sphere, so if I were to go to wireframe, you will notice that it's very low polygon, and my character is very high poly, which I need to fix because I did my character in Blender and then I add all these smooth modifiers, and I just like put it straight in the game, and so I will have to revisit and reduce the polygon count, and also I will probably change up the style a bit and add some more details and whatnot, but for now it's once again good enough to get the point across. So you're back to this sphere here. You notice that if I look at it on the side, it looks like it's 3D. It's using a... well, let's actually have a look what it actually is using. I forgot what it was. It was a... not depth occlusion. Don't know why that's in my head. So let's jump into it. I've got a flow map in it. Let's jump into it. Parallax occlusion. So that's actually getting this texture over here, and it jumps all in through it, and it includes it, and it makes it look like it's actually 3D. So let's quickly turn off the possess for the first character, so I can just spawn it over here. So I have it so it just grows at the start, but yeah, when you walk into it, it gets all dark and all foggy, and then you can go through and defeat the enemies. So he's out. So I was thinking, yeah, some enemies will be these little floating corrupt cubes that will either shoot like little projectiles of cubes at you, or this electricity. So that was 3. Oh, I didn't get the quest from him before, but because I re-entered the game. But if I were to have the quest, I would interact with this, and then it would shrink down. Oh, okay, it still shrinks down. So yeah, it would shrink down. Yeah, I forgot I removed that because I changed all the quest stuff in the later ones. And then this village is all safe. So let's head over to fly over here. So now we're over here, I've got some enemies. Oh, these are physics-based rocks, so if I get my air, I can shoot them. And I can move them around, so I wanted to have all these objects blowable, I guess. Okay, so those guys ran over there because their navigation, their navigation waypoint was actually down there, because it's in a radius, so that's an issue I do need to fix. All these issues I'm finding. So there's some enemies here, and they would get their weapon, start chasing me. So I'll try and outrun them. And let's go do this quest. So we'll talk to him. Pass through the portal, okay. And then we go into the portal. Now we're under this tree here. There's little fireflies. And I can wait by the log. It changes to nighttime. And I had to, with the cell shade, it actually lights up, which is kind of cool. That's what I really like about this. So let's enter it. Okay, so you would enter in here, and then if you interacted with this, which it won't work now, but okay, so originally you would have the quest, and then you would jump through with the quest, and then you can activate it, and then defeat the enemies and go up. So that's just like a little prototype I had. But I was thinking of the depth could be this bigger, so it's below the cloud layer, and I'll show you I'll show you about the islands above shortly. But so below the clouds you've got all these tree roots and vines coming down, and it's all cloudy. You can walk on the clouds, and there's all rocks and abandoned structures. So let's jump back to the main Earth level. Okay, so now I'm back in the other Earth level. If I press 1, I've got it so you can teleport around the map to various points. Yeah, these are some older ruins that I did when I was using Houdini to generate them all. So they're all procedurally generated, which is really neat for that. And if we speed over here, I was going to have it so this is like a little Oh, cloudlet. So yeah, so with this system, the advanced locomotion system, I have some weird issues sometimes depending on if an object is scaled and then you jump on it, you will be put in a weird position. So I've got to look into that and try and fix that. So this is the depth. He's the evil eye. I mentioned him a few times before. So that's my basic idea I've got of the enemy of the game. So let's head here. And if I were to open my so yeah, for because I had this for an expedition, I just had a controller layout that you could play around and play with it. So if we do load other levels, I'll actually load some other levels in the background. So now when I teleport, I can go to these other islands. So my world layout, I was going to have earth, air, water and fire, and in the middle is going to be a light island. So they're all joined by these tree roots and everything. So I can just actually fly around, turn my speed up. So I was going to have these islands probably be 4 times as big, or maybe even bigger scale wise. So there's earth, here's air. So yeah, earth is all earthy with your green and water, and air is all your very, very hilly and steep with clouds that you can go onto. And I was gonna have fire. That's probably like a volcano, and it'll be all like fire escape-ish. And then water, ocean. I was just thinking have a lot of water bodies, and these other islands will be interconnected that you could go between. And then the light island was going to have these really weird, sharp, pointy objects and weird structures. So I've still got to think about what they are. And the means of transports, you would probably go into like cloud boats, so boats that go between the clouds, or you would go over the vines. There'll be certain pathways. And at the very bottom, I wasn't sure to have water. I just wanted to have a cloud layer, and then if you did fall below that, you would then go into that depth area which I showed previously. And yeah, this is my my kind of like world layout. When I first envisioned it, I was thinking of having it just as one big map world, but I wanted something a bit more interesting. So there's my floating islands concept. So I was thinking if I ended this up with just watching a storm go by. And thanks for watching.